So today, this afternoon, rather, we will have a roundtable discussion on business developments that directly affect and support local environmental problems. Or so, may I introduce to you our resource persons for today, Mr. Dan Renner, who is the Director for Environment Programs and Partnerships of the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. So, yeah, Dan,
Hello,
Rotarian Dan.
how are you, Mr. Anton?
Oh, yeah, I am fine. Incidentally, I'm a charter member of the Rotary Club of Downtown Tarlac, and I'm also a past president there. So you're in good
Ah,
hands, sir.
okay, good to hear.
Okay.
Good.
And Jeff, Dave, do I introduce the other lady here, or will we give
It's
Rotarian
yeah,
Dan here
it's
the
another male. Yeah, you can
oh,
introduce and then we can ask.
okay.
I think first Sir Larry to present because he has a very limited connection. So that
Okay.
yeah, Sir Larry will present first. Is that okay? Rotarian Dan.
Sure, no problem, David.
Okay, you can
Okay.
present the second speaker.
So we also have another resource speaker with us, who is also who would be focusing on birdland care, the birdland care commune. She is Miss Hilary Pangan, and yes, I will be reintroducing her later. But in the meantime, let's give the floor to Rotarian Dan for his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Antonio.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, hello, people, and thank you for having me here. I'll start off with the Rotary Club, as you may or may not know, has 7 areas of focus. Um, the supporting the environment, which is here, was actually added just this year in July, and we've decided to go after it in a rather big way. So that's our current aspect. So that's for that. Give you a quick presentation here. All right. So this is based on the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. I'm the director of environment, so which is obviously very new. So this is our one of our first projects in the area, but not our first, but one of our first. So you all know that the Earth is in a little bit of trouble. This is the CO2 map of Earth from NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. The WHO now says 7 million people a year are dying from air pollution. And the direct effect on the Philippines is 185,000 people in the Philippines per year are dying from air pollution. And this, obviously, you've seen this in real life, and the jeepneys smoking, the buses smoking, the trucks smoking. What it does is that floats in the air, that black carbon floats in the air and lands all over the place. And this happens to be a picture of the black carbon in the Arctic. Excuse me. So now a lot of people are banking on electric vehicles saving us. Well, my apologies, but per the International Energy Agency, per their prediction, and per just when you apply some logic to that data, by the time 2030 comes around, out of the 2 billion vehicles on Earth, 1.8 billion are still going to be polluting. And that's what we're going to go after. So, okay, my apologies. I got a little ahead of myself. This is from the WHO, and this link down here will take you exactly to this page, which will show you that 185 out of every 100,000, which actually is a little bit more than 185,000 per year, Filipinos are dying from air pollution. Now, to give you some kind of relativity, this was taken from the Johns Hopkins COVID data back in March, but I believe the data is quite a bit higher now, about 3 times higher now. You're up to about 31,000, but 31,000 is still a lot lower than 185,000. So now you can't just bring in a whole bunch of EVs, electric vehicles. You've got logistics, you've got manufacturing, you've got getting the raw materials, you've got all the above, you've got expense. Who's going to pay for all that? So what we're working on is a bridge solution. A bridge solution basically ties one point to another point. What we're trying to tie is the pollution levels of the future to today. And we'll show you how we do that. The carbon cutter is the device that we're using. Has lots of third-party testing, lots of LTO testing, lots of testing, period. This little bit here is from the Department of Science and Technology's environmental technology verification test that was done in 2018. And we reduced diesel particulates, the PM 2.5, PM10, by almost 76%. Gasoline hydrocarbons went down 66%. Carbon monoxide down 17%. Consumption, which directly relates to CO2, went down 16%. Consumption on the diesel, wasn't that good. But even UP Diliman, the mechanical engineering department, has tested and verified that we do reduce consumption. So we have lots and lots of tests. This particular, it's just an LTO environment, particle matter test. So they call it an opacity test on a Nissan Frontier. And this has been a longstanding record because we got this vehicle down to 0.2 on the opacity test. And in case you don't know, a measure of 2.5 or above is failure, and legally you cannot take your vehicle on the road. So our record, a long time standing record, I think it was from 2015, has been 0.2. However, a 3-year-old Toyota Nova just beat that and got a 0.16. So which literally is, you could actually breathe that air and no harm would come to you, that exhaust. All right, so what are the benefits of the project we're doing? Obviously, from the screen page above, you can see that we lower greenhouse gas levels, all of them. The carbon monoxide, the carbon dioxide, the hydrocarbons, all of them are lowered. Because the drivers are using less fuel, there's lower fuel costs. And because of that, the PUV drivers that we're working with, that we're installing, their income increases because they don't have to spend that money on fuel. We are partnered with a Foundation for These Abled Persons, Inc. You can find them on FTI2009.com. And they are finding PWDs for us to do the fabrication, which we're allowing them to do the fabrication of the device in their home. It just takes a couple of simple hand tools, and we pay them very, very well, actually. So citizens in the areas that we affect, like say we just did a 100 tricycle project in Katipunan. The citizens in that area are breathing cleaner air because there's no raw gasoline, or I should say there's less raw gasoline in the air they have to breathe. Raw gasoline is extremely poisonous. The tricycle drivers all report that the engines have more power, and if they actually had to purchase these devices, they would have a return on investment actually in 4 weeks from the reports we're getting from the drivers. And the device lasts the life of the engine. So a 5-year lifetime for a tricycle is pretty much average. And it's a very, very cheap device. 1,200 pesos for trikes, motorcycles, 2,500 pesos for Jeeps, small trucks and cars, SUVs. So it's very, very inexpensive. So give you an idea, a graphic idea of the impact this device has. We put our device on 1,000 tricycles. Add our device to it. We will take out of the air 14 20,000 liter tanker trucks of fuel. That is 760 tons of CO2, and the amount of hydrocarbons is quite a bit more. So that's basically 287,870 liters of fuel the drivers do not have to purchase. Now you divide 287,000 by 1,000 drivers, and you see their income per year is quite considerable. Now, we always get asked, well, does anybody really want it? Actually, yes, a lot of people want it. This is a letter from the city of Malabon, if I'm pronouncing that right, from the Centro office. It's basically stating that they want the device. The Mayor Lindland, wants the device in all 3,800 tricycles in his city. And this letter was signed by the Centro office chief and also by the city administrator. So yes, it's a wanted project. So this is actually the benefits. This presentation was aimed at clubs, but just to give you an idea, these are effects created. PWDs or other fabricators that we use, their income is up by 50,000 pesos each. The installer's income is up by 75,000 each. Total driver's income is up by about 14 million. 14 million. My apologies. I don't know where that number came from. I think we figured that out on the 1,000 vehicles. Yeah. So 1,000 vehicles, 1,000 drivers will increase their income by 14 million. For 5 years, that's the life of the engine, that's 70 million pesos for those 1,000 drivers. So that's about 70,000 pesos per year, or for the 5 years each. Again, the CO2 reduction, 760 tons per year. For 5 years, that's 3,800 tons. That's not a small amount. The hydrocarbon reduction, and the reason the hydrocarbon is important is the definition of hydrocarbon is fuel. So hydrocarbon, say for a tricycle, is gasoline. There's a reduction of 14 20,000 liter tanker trucks per year. And again, in 5 years, that's 70 20,000 liter trucks. 70 trucks of fuel for those 5 years. That's out of the air. Now, the cost on something like that, 1,000 tricycles, is only 1,200,000 pesos. So the driver's income is going up by 70 million pesos for a cost of 1.2 million. It's a very, very over-exaggerated exchange for that project. All right. So that is the presentation, and ask if there are any questions.
Well, yeah, yes, yes, Dan. Yeah,
Mhm.
Anton here. Yeah,
Sure.
and I was just kind of thinking. So, what's the status of the project right now?
We're actually just finished up the memorandum of agreement of understanding. We just finished nailing that all out, and we've already gotten a few other clubs interested in the project as well. So we're going to start out in where is it? Paranaque, I believe is where the club is starting, because that's
Mhm.
where the club has a lot of people up in that area. So we're starting up in that area. So that's where we're going. Also, one of the past presidents, Danny, my apologies, I forget his last name, but he's working on a project that uses tricycle drivers to deliver for co-ops all across the nation. And we're also going to be involved with that and getting this into the drivers' vehicles as well. So uh, it's moving. It's moving. We were actually
Great.
awarded. We got verbal notice of an 800 tricycle award by the city of Malabon 2 days before the COVID lockdown.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, that didn't go very far.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it will push after they've lifted the stricter quarantines here in Manila. Yep.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if my fellow Rotarians there in Labang have actually considered getting in touch with an organization called REDD Plus. It's supposed to be a REDD Plus stands for Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. It's actually the reverse of what the Rotarians are doing there in Alabang, but this is more on the on the reforestation side, which also helps in bringing down the carbon levels in our atmosphere.
Right.
But I believe, just a tip from one Rotarian to another, they've got funding. Dan,
Oh,
okay,
good on them. Good on them.
okay, just look into it, please.
Okay.
Sure.
Good on them.
Yeah. So, I will we open the. Would you care to answer some questions now from
Oh,
I don't
sure.
have Dave. Could you
Yeah,
help me out here?
yeah.
I
Thank
can't
you,
see
sir.
the.
Yeah, Sir Anton. Before we proceed to the open forum, we will just proceed to the next speaker first.
Okay, sure.
Uh, because I think there's a lockdown timeline for Sambales.
Uh,
So that
Okay,
Sir Hillary, could you introduce the next speaker, Sir
okay,
Anton?
sure. Yeah. Well, since she's rather in a hurry for because of the lockdown thing, whatever they are having out there.
Last question for Sir Dan Rainer. Are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Raul Norbe asked a while ago. I think if you could answer this live. How many number of tricycles or buses, have you answered it already? It may be able to remove how much volume of GHGs emission in the atmosphere?
Well, it's kind of hard to total it all out, but in the presentation, I had 1,000 tricycles. If you only count CO2, which is just one of the GHGs, then we'll remove 760 tons per year. So with 5 years of tricycle engine life, you figure that's about 3,800 tons total for 1,000 tricycles. That's what just the CO2. That doesn't count the hydrocarbons. It doesn't count the carbon monoxide, which again, carbon monoxide is the gas that will kill you if you go into a garage, start up your car, and close all the doors and windows. That's the gas that will kill you, not CO2. So nitrous oxide, methane, black carbon, all of these. It's hard to quantify all of them, but just CO2 alone, for 1,000 vehicles, we can knock out 3,800 tons in 5 years.
Sir Anton, is anybody
Yep.
want to still ask questions? I think that's.
Well,
Yes,
yeah,
sir, Anton.
that's. I think we've covered enough area for this, and yeah, thank you very much, Dan, for your time and your research. Obviously, that's a very tough research you did.
I've had a long time to do it.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the only problem we have. I mean, you could come up with a research like that, but how people will actually appreciate it is the problem. And people get bored with so many carbon particles, if you put in a lot of those technical terms. But however, what you've presented is great because people will now start researching on what you just researched. Okay. Yeah, and you've just increased the level of awareness on on our carbon pollution and air pollution situation. Thank you very much, Dan.
You're welcome. And if I may, could I leave you with one more tidbit? Per Philippine law, hydrocarbon emissions. Remember, hydrocarbon equals fuel. Hydrocarbon emissions for a gasoline car are limited to 800 particles per million. For a tricycle, that limitation is 7,800. That's Philippine law.
What happened?
Good question.
Beats me, Dan. I really don't know.
I have no idea, but that is the amount of pollution that is allowed for tricycles and motorcycles.
Well, now I don't wonder why a lot of people would rather buy a motorcycle than a car. More permissive then.
A lot more permissive, unfortunately. But we've knocked that down actually as far as from the limit of 7,800. We've knocked it down. We have a fellow who reported his hydrocarbon emissions were 26.
I think carbon emissions about 10. I mean, that's permissive. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
What the limit is 7,800.
Oh, okay.
And he measured at an LTO emission test at 26.
Whoa.
With our device.
That's worrisome.
Worrisome? That's fantastic. To get that low, that's 0.3% of the legal limit.
Okay, okay. No, I probably didn't catch the number quite properly. Anyway, yeah, if you say it's good, then I will take your word for it.
I think there's also a very good question before we leave. How can we buy the device, Dan? Asked by Sir Andrew Cesarimando.
Oh, if you like to buy a device, you can go to uh, on Facebook. You can look for Engine Ecology, and you'll find a page with our black and green logo. If you see that black and green logo, that's our page, and you're welcome to message us, and we can do it there. Our office is based in Quezon City, Katipunan, Quezon City. So you can always come by there, stop on by. We'll pop it right in for you. No charge for installation.
I think that's all. Sir Anton?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Dan. Thank you for your time, and we're glad you're here, and quite an interesting discussion with you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
You're very welcome.
Stay on. Stay on and listen to more.